Welcome to my channel. My name is Seema. I'm a channel. We shift in and out of realities billions of times per second. And actually, even when you go into a shopping center, you're going to have a different reality than somebody else that's experiencing the same environment, simply because everybody has a different reality. No two people share the same reality. This makes reality extremely subjective. So people have different chemical makeups, and DNA is actually malleable. So you can change your DNA by overriding the current code that it has. And actually, our DNA changes all of the time based off of the environments that we're in, the people that surround us, the food that we consume, basically our environmental diet externally and internally. So one can be walking around with a completely different chemical composition and thereby energy field than somebody else. This makes everybody's reality extremely curtailed to them, extremely personal to them. And human beings actually have the ability to not just override their DNA by making it such that they experience different types of spiritual awakenings in this lifetime, and they make that their goal of human life. But they can override their DNA so much such that they actually experience transcendentalism or awakening or liberation, even while being in the physical body. And you may be wondering how that's possible, and I'll tell you that it's a constant dedication to the practice of raising your vibration, and it's a constant dedication to liberation. Liberation is the primary goal of human life. There is nothing else that is the goal of human life. Not material acquisition, not material success, because the real success happens as we go in every moment. And even when we experience death, which is just the shedding of the physical body, it's not actual death because we never cease to exist, we just take a different form. Even when we experience death, we're still experiencing the experience in that moment. And so our reality changes again. Our reality is constantly changing all the time, depending on what thoughts we think, who we surround ourselves with, and what we deem to be true in our reality. Because whatever we believe is going to be our truth. We get to decide our truth all the time. So that's why you can go from being a very impoverished person or a very sick person to healing yourself completely and healing your finances completely and changing everything, just because we get to decide our reality at all moments. Like, we are the universe. There's no universe that exists outside of us. And so that's why awakening is possible for every human being, because we are the universe in and of itself. We just need to remember that. So that's what a spiritual awakening is. When we remember that we are the universe and that we are connected to all types of information at all periods of time, basically the totality of information that exists, then when we understand this, then we can understand who we really are. Otherwise, we're just walking around with a diluted sense of perception about who we are, and we craft our identity based off of things that surround us in the physical reality, which is Maya, which is illusion, because it all ceases to exist anyway. But what doesn't cease to exist, what is eternal, is us and God. So every living soul, every jiva, and God, the source by which everything springs from. So that's why it's important to look at material reality not as you being separate from it, or not as you being the controller of it or dominator of it or enjoyer of it, but rather as you being the creator of it. And truly, the only actual enjoyer of anything is God. And in Vedic scripture, we call God by the name of Krishna. You can attribute any name to God. And we say that Krishna is Purusha, which means enjoyer. So God is the true enjoyer of everything. And so when we enjoy something, when something is pleasing to our senses, if we are not connecting our senses back to God and feeding God's senses and serving God's senses, then we just kind of stay stuck in this material realm and in the human senses that come with it. Do you see what I'm saying? If we keep feeding something or putting our attention to something, even our own material sense objects, then we get stuck in the third dimension, not just in this lifetime, but in lifetimes to come. So what do I mean by when I say we get stuck in the third dimension? We just create more karma for ourselves. So, which is fine. Karma is a continuous cycle. It's always happening. That's why karma usually is like instant for those who are more crystalline in their energy, for those who are more fluid in their energy, for those who are more um, even worked through within their own karma in this lifetime. So karma happens to us immediately. Like, for example, myself, when I started to evolve spiritually and really expand my consciousness and tap into my heart and understand love, understand God, what happened was, you know, any time I would think a negative thought, I would get the karmic reaction immediately. Like, my karma would be served to me immediately, and I would see kind of what I was doing wrong, you know, the repercussions of that. So depending on if you choose to pay attention to your life or not, you'll see how karma is constantly acting, and we are always governed by the laws of karma because we are in the third dimensional body. We are not ascended yet, you know, we are not holy in any way, but at the same time we are holy completely because we are God's children. So does that make sense? You have to marry both sides of any situation when it comes to understanding universal law or understanding the true nature of reality, because that is the only way that we can understand unity or oneness consciousness, when we marry both sides of any situation. So, for example, in Vedic scripture, we call God by the name of Krishna, but we also call God as being Srimati Radharani, or by the name of Radha, because Radha is Krishna's counterpart. She is the, let's say, divine feminine, or the feminine nature of God, the feminine aspect of God. They are one and the same. That's why, like, if you read Vedic scripture, you'll understand, and like stories, you'll understand that Krishna and Radha could never get married because they were one person, you know. So it kind of helps to understand these things very much so that we can navigate our lives with clarity and not get deluded by certain things that happen to us or don't happen to us in our lives, you know. In this day and age of Kali Yuga and like our earth currently, we view success by how much money one has, or how famous one has, or how much notoriety one has. And I just want to say, you can have all of that. That's perfectly fine. It's not that this stuff is negative in any way. Life is beautiful and creative and abundant and propagating itself all the time. What is not good is when we get stuck, or when we get trapped in these grandeurs of success, you know. If one has the aspiration to become known or wealthy or famous, there has to be a why, right? Like, if you just want it because you want it, you are chasing after something that is not going to fulfill you, and you know that, you know, subconsciously or not. Like, we know that. We're very intelligent. We just may put our intelligence on the back burner sometimes, you know. However, if you want notoriety and fame and wealth so that you can give it away, or so that you can serve massive amounts of people with knowledge or information or energy or frequency, then that's ultimately, you can make that your life purpose or path, as long as you very much so know who you are and why you're doing something. This goes for anything. This goes for having children too. Why do you want to have children? Is it simply to propagate your bloodline, which is fine, that's fine. It's a materialistic desire, but there's nothing wrong with that, you know? Everything that is material is also spiritual. Remember the dichotomy, marrying both aspects of reality. So that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if you base your fulfillment on having kids within that premise, then you're just reproducing for that sake, and then once you have the children, you know, you're going to feel that your job is done, but your job is never done, you know, as a parent, because parents are gurus, right? So parents are your first teachers. So, you know, the proper, or I'd say, you know, rather the more spiritual inclination to wanting to have kids would be something along the lines of, well, I want to pass on my knowledge, you know, or I want to create people that are actually like, I don't know why this is coming to mind, but like spiritual units, like of individuals, you know, that eventually will carry out certain information and will you know, pass on love and be agents of change for the world, you know. Like, ultimately, I think that if you love who you are and if you know your purpose and your path, you can teach other human beings the same thing. And what, like, an amazing situation it would be to like have individuals that you raise that you can pass on all of this knowledge to, you know. So that would be like a more, I don't know, uh fulfilling approach to having kids, because true fulfillment is satisfaction of the soul. It's not satisfaction of the senses. And you know, we think it is satisfaction of the senses because the senses are so hungry. They want to be fed, you know. Like, we love food, we love fashion, we love sex, like we love music, you know what I mean? Like, we love everything so much. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, giving the objects of the senses to God, right? Connecting back to God and feeding God's senses, so not our senses. So like, whenever you, this is what transcendentalism is. So whenever you go shopping, like, God is everywhere, you know. So like, whenever you go shop, this is what I do. I'm just giving away my sauce, babe, like giving away my tea. No, when I go shopping, like, it's like sometimes oh my god, sometimes I will like, you know, manifest or like create an object that I want to see, and then I'll go and I'll see it like two seconds later, right? Like, I'll just be walking and I'll envision like a white skirt, and then I'll find like a white skirt, right? And to me, it's like oh my gosh, Krishna. Like, it's like, oh my god, God is in everything, in textile, in, I'm not able to explain this properly. I don't think I'm not doing a very good job, but you know, to me it's like spiritual. You know, same thing with finding people that align with you, finding friends that align with you. Shopping is just like the most primitive example I could give about sense gratification. Even like food, right? Like, when we eat, you know, that's why like it's important to offer your food before you consume it, because it's not yours, and your body is also not yours. Like, all these things are owned by God. God is the supreme, again, Purusha, enjoyer of everything. So when we give our experiences to him, we immediately connect to him, and then we experience things. We become liberated in our experience. Our experience is not chaining us or binding us or keeping us stuck in 3D, keeping us stuck in the karmic repercussions of enjoyment, because there are karmic repercussions to enjoyment, such as addiction to wanting to fulfill the senses. This is why yoga is so important. Yoga, not like physical yoga, but rather mental yoga, sense control, you know. And you can experience true yoga within meditation, within a state of focused meditation. It's just the point of life. It's just beautiful, remarkable. There's nothing like it. You know, we seek altered states of consciousness through inebriation or drugs or, you know, whatever. What is it called? Escapism, right? But and everything could be a drug, by the way. Music could be a drug, right? So we seek altered states of mind through these mediums, not realizing that what we actually want to do is just return back to the soul, to the seat of the soul. And we can do this very easily and on the go at any point in time through meditation. You can meditate in your car, you can meditate while filming videos. When I channel, I'm meditating. Everything, life can be a moving meditation, you know. So yes. I'm like, is there anything else? No. But truly, like, we love magic, we love esotericism, we love learning knowledge, right? But who is the seed of all knowledge? who is the seed of all creation. Like, magic is everywhere. Magic is in cows and grass and us. They say, like, go touch grass, right? It's because the social media paradigm is so full of negative energy, like, truly. Anything that is Rahu, which I will talk about this later, but there's Rahu, Ketu, which are planets. They're not actually planets. They are like eclipse points, but they're like open spaces, or like vacuums. So I just remembered a dream I had last night. Interesting. They come to me, you know. If I don't write down my dreams, they'll come back to haunt me, like during the day. So social media is Rahu. Rahu's illusion. I'm thirsty. Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, life is so beautiful. Okay. What was I saying? Social media is Rahu, which is illusion. This is Rahu, illusion. The body is also Rahu. Anything tangible is Rahu. Like anything that is temporary is Rahu, because it eventually dies and gets destroyed. Does that make sense? So yeah, end of discussion for today. Please pack up your backpacks. Be ready for class tomorrow at 9 a.m. I want a full-page essay on what you learned today and how this helped you in the comment section. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. You guys like make me so happy. And I'll talk to you in the next one.